Hello, hello, and welcome to another conversation lesson. This is, I think we are now on number 38 already. So we're getting along, getting along. All right. Well, let's get right into it. We'll open up our Ingu website that we usually read our articles from. And let's see. Oh, I have to always mention you can come here by yourself if you want. Can come read through some articles, ingu.com, come read with a friend, work through some of the material by yourself if you like as well. Got a lot of nice material on here. All right, so today let's go with anxious. Are you anxious? Let's say. They say it makes us anxious. Why some people avoid the news? Yeah, I try and avoid it as well. Not that it makes me anxious, but we'll talk about it later. We'll get there. So let's start with the vocabulary. As always, I'm going to read through it. I'd like you to hit pause after each word, read it out loud, make sure you got the pronunciation down, you're comfortable with it. And then if you're not sure about the definition that they give us here, you can just type it in Google, feature, meaning, and they'll give you all the different definitions depending on the context that you're using it in. All right, so let's start. Feature, to include something as a special or important part. The album features John Bonham on percussion. Anxious, feeling worried or nervous. Research has found that spending too much time on social media can make people feel lonely and anxious. Avoid, to stay away from or stop oneself from doing something, to stop something from happening. I'm trying to avoid fatty foods because I just started a new diet. Here they have another example. Nurses wear gloves to avoid physical contact with their patients. All right. Then we have engage, to take part or become involved in something. The survey shows that the number of young people engaging with political news has increased recently. Okay. Next one, professionally, in a way that relates to a job or career and not done as a hobby. I've always been interested in photography, but I only but I only started taking photos professionally a few years back. All right. And also, I just want to mention, because a lot of my students, when they see this word, they say photography, but it's, even though photo and, you see the word photo and you want to say photography, but when we read it at a normal pace, it's photography, photography. All right. But we do say photograph, but photography. Okay. Next one, relevant, appropriate or connected to a particular subject, situation, etc. I'd like to point out another thing that I think is relevant to the topic. So let's go right to the article. Again, I'm going to read the whole article. You can hit pause after each little paragraph, read it out loud. If you're not sure about a word, just rewind a little bit and listen again. Make sure you got it all. So let's start. It makes us anxious why some people avoid the news. During the summers not too long ago, when politicians were on vacation and schools were closed, news in the UK often featured stories about things like cats in trees and UFOs because there wasn't much else to report. It was called silly season in the UK. Of course, there was other news, but not the usual daily politics, so there was more time for happier stories. But some may feel like there isn't time for silly season these days. And according to a recent study, thinking about the news is making British people anxious, something that's causing some of them to avoid engaging with it. It also means they're less likely to engage with politics, the study suggests. Researchers spoke to 43 people in the UK who said they never or rarely engage with professionally made news, whether that's on television, in newspapers, or online. The research was published in September 2022, but the interviews took place between November 2016 and March 2017, not long after the UK voted to leave the European Union, EU. However, for most, it may not have been leaving the EU that caused them to avoid the news. Many reported feeling anxious or afraid when thinking about news stories featuring crime, war, or terrorism. People did think that they should know a little bit about global and national events, but this wasn't always enough to make them follow the news. Many felt they could not understand the country's politics or that political news was not relevant to them. For politicians themselves, this could be a challenge, suggests the study, trying to communicate with those who avoid the news. Mm. All right, so we got our three questions again related to the article. I'll read through them. I want you to try and answer it. Try and remember what did we just read, and then I'll try and answer them, and we can go back and have a look. I usually don't do well with these because my short-term memory, I get the gist of what we read, but specific facts. Ooh. All right. So what time of year is silly season in the UK? You remember? How many people were interviewed for the study? What news topics made many people anxious? You got it? I think I'm not sure. I don't know. So, what time of the year is silly season in the UK? They said during the summer holidays, right? When schools are closed. Was it the summer holidays? Schools are closed in the summer holidays, right? It wasn't during over Christmas time. I think summer holidays. How many people were interviewed for the study? I think they said 43. I hate numbers when it 43 or 44, 43. What news topics made many people anxious? They said news on war, crime, politics, I think. Let's have a look. So, what time is silly season? It was here. It was called the silly season in UK. Where was it? During the summers, not too long ago. It's the silly season. Okay, summers. Let's see the next question they asked. How many people were interviewed for the study? Where was that? I'm missing it. Where was it? Ah, researchers spoke to 43 people in the UK. That's not that many, to be honest with you. That's not a that's not a study that you would get a good idea. But anyway, we're going to talk about it later. And what news topics made people anxious? So, what did they say? Um, People reported feeling anxious or afraid when thinking about news stories featuring crime, war, and terrorism. Oh, not politics. Terrorism. It's almost the same as politics. I'm just joking. Yeah. Okay. Well, did you get all of them? I hope so. Hope you're doing better than me. So, discussion questions. What are your thoughts on the findings of this study? Yeah, I tend to believe it because I've I, I feel the same, but it's not because news makes me anxious. It's just I find news to be very negative. Usually they report on negative things because that's what people want to know is like what's going on, what's wrong. Um, but if you just focus on what's wrong, you kind of miss what's right. So, but then on the study, I also don't think, 43 people, that's not a large pool. So I don't know. I think they should test more people, but again, I kind of agree with the results, so I probably, can't criticize it too much, but usually I'd like to see a larger pool of people tested. Okay, number two. Oh, I have to mention every time. Remember, you guys have to answer the question as well. So if I'm finished answering it, or if you want to before I answer it, you can hit pause, answer the question the way you would, or you can listen to me first and then answer or add something to it, okay? But you have to say it out loud. You have to speak. You have to speak, okay? Number two, does the news ever make you feel anxious? Um, again, I don't know if anxious is the right word for me. I don't feel anxious about it, but I don't. enjoy it because, like I say, mostly they'll report on negative things, and also so much of the news is kind of biased, you know. So especially like in the US, they've got Fox News and CNN, and if you're a Democrat, you have to listen to CNN, and everything CNN will make the Republicans look bad, and Fox News reports for Republicans, so everything they say will make the Democrats look bad, you know. So they're very biased in the way they report. Um, so I don't like, you know, it's difficult to know who you should trust and what news agency is just reporting on facts. They're not giving opinions. You know, you state facts, don't give opinions. And but then also when you state facts, don't sway the facts to make it sound good for your political reason. So that's why I don't really like the news. But the main thing is it's mostly negative, and yeah. Number three, do you know anyone who doesn't engage with the news? Yeah, a lot of people. A lot of people who don't engage with the news. Mainly because of that, because it's just so negative. And yeah, it's good to find out if some big event happened or if something is going on in the world, but to follow it every day and just, you know, when I was younger, we had news at 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, but it was, I think the 6 o'clock news was just like 10 minutes. 8 o'clock was at like a 30 minutes, but then it's like the news, the weather, everything. Um, But now they've got channels dedicated to just news 24/7, like all day. They're just reporting things and talking about things. And if you get sucked into that world, then I don't think it's that good. Number four, do you have many friends or family who don't follow politics? Yeah, like I just said. I just said that. All right, I'm going to move right on. Number five, do you prefer to get your news from TV, newspapers, or online? Um, I tend to get my news from Facebook. So if I see a lot of people posting something that happened, then it'd be like, oh, okay, something worthwhile happened, and then I'll type in Google whatever it is, and I'll find, depending on what kind of event, you know, if it's just somebody that died, I'll just click on any news article to find out what happened or, you know, what's the story. But if it is something kind of politics related, or if I know that there's some political, then I'll read articles from different news websites to get like, oh, the Democrat says it's like this, the Republicans say it's like this, and somewhere in the middle there's some truth, you know. So you have to find that. But I don't read physical newspaper anymore. No, on the TV, no. It's all online. Further discussion. What kind of news stories interest you the most? Um, well, I love cycling and boxing, so I would probably have to say sports news. If that counts. I don't know. I read news articles about boxing every day, and when the cycling season is on, I read every day almost. Almost every day, yeah. But then typical news, uh, just if something crazy is happening, you know, I'd like to know about it, but it doesn't interest me. I have no interest in it. It's just like, oh, I need to know what's happening out there and how it will affect me. Number two, do you often discuss the news with your friends and family? Eh, sometimes with my family, you know, if I see something happened, and then I'll be like, oh, did you hear about this? You know, just kind of like that. Nothing, no deep discussions or, you know, nothing crazy. Number three, are you generally more interested in global or national news stories? Both. I would say both equally. So I'm interested in global news stories, then news about Thailand and news about South Africa because I live in Thailand. I'm from South Africa. So I'll follow things that are happening, but it has to be something of relevance, you know. If it's just some silly news, then I'm not even going to bother reading it. Number 4, which of your friends or family is the biggest news junkie? I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm not that into news that I would know who's the biggest news junkie. I don't know. Number 5, do you think you'd enjoy working as a journalist? Ooh. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because firstly, if I had to go into any place that's dangerous, I wouldn't want to. And if it is, a lot of times you'll see reporters or journalists go to areas where something's happening and they can just report. They cannot intervene or step in and help people or do something. So you just have to stand there. And if I see something bad happening, I'd want to jump in and help, I want to can't just stand there and just be like, "Oh, look at that person dying." It's like, no, go to help the person. So, yeah, I won't be able to do that. And then if I work for some news agency and they have some political agenda and I need to sway facts, I wouldn't be able to do that. So, no, probably not. And then also you have to go dig for news. You have to be the first one to get that scoop and find out what is happening in the world. You cannot just see, oh, there's CNN reported on this, so let me find out what's happened. Then you're too late. So I don't know. I don't think I would enjoy that. Nah, not for me. But we need journalists. Obviously, we do need them. So if you like it and you enjoy it, go for it. We need journalists. Okay, well, that's it, guys. So let me just stop that one over there. And that's it then. If you have any questions, any comments, any views or news you want to share, type it in the comments. Let's get a conversation going. All right. Have a good evening to you. Bye bye.